There are two types of how to do something video on YouTube. There are those put up by experts where you can use their knowledge and their wisdom to then try and do the thing that it is you wish to do. And then there are those put up by nobodies where you can be impressed, if not staggered, that someone so far from an expert can do the thing you wish to do and therefore go and do it yourself. Which one is this? Oh, I'm no expert. My Alpe du Zwift history is short and sweet. Sweet if you like seeing people in pain and discomfort. The first time I climbed it, I did it in erg mode using trainer road. Zwift wasn't even hooked up to the bike properly. All Zwift did was took the 260 watts that trainer road was giving me and translated that into climbing the hill. The thing took me 1 hour 13 minutes. It wasn't a particularly relevant test because it wasn't hooked up properly, other than it did tell me that I probably was going to need to get the figure that everyone talks about, which is 3.2 watts per kilogram. For me at 101 kilograms, that meant 320 watts or more did seem about right. And my second attempt was in the video that I will link to up here somewhere. I actually failed to get under the hour that time. Thousands of people watched it anyway though. I have no idea why. So I had done that attempt fueled by nothing other than a naive assumption that it'd be quite straightforward, a complete lack of understanding of how damn steep that hill is, and the Rocky IV soundtrack. Goosebumps. So having missed the 1 hour target on that previous attempt by just under 1 minute, I had two very valuable bits of information that I could take forward to my third attempt. Firstly, if I can just wing it and be that close, I am pretty much guaranteed at getting almost there, if not there, next time round. It's an approach I use on things all the time. If you want to do something, just go and have a go at it. Play it by ear, see how you get on. Don't worry about preparing too much, just try. If you like it and you want to repeat it, then do some preparation, go into it properly next time round, and you cannot fail to do better on that second attempt. It's a theory that works well with just about anything. Apart from children, there is a reason that my eldest is very rarely mentioned in these videos.
I don't think that's funny at all, I'm sorry.
And then I had my corner times. This, as you'll see, was my menu to success. So I was 100% certain, 99.9% certain, that the next time I had a go at it, I was going to do it. In fact, I was so certain of that the allure of doing it, the appeal of having a go, had almost dissipated. I wasn't entirely sure that I was going to have a go at it anytime soon. And then a few people started mentioning the badge. There is a badge you get on Zwift for going under 1 hour. I did not start getting any sort of medals or badges until I was well into my 40s doing my little 10k runs. I am playing medal and badge catch up in a serious way. I wanted that badge. And I knew that if I waited till after Christmas, now, I would have a serious weight disadvantage. And for reference, I was absolutely right. Today, I am a fraction under 106 kilograms. Don't ask, it's a turkey thing. So on Christmas Eve, I went for it. So I'm going to stick the ride up so you can see it somehow and talk you through the main points, including the 3 best tips that I felt were most relevant to getting me up there under the hour this time round. So while I set off for the first corner, let me explain exactly what I had recorded on here. This is a detailed breakdown from my previous failed attempt of my time to every single corner and the cumulative total overall time at that point. Now it turns out that Zwift actually shows you your previous best time to that corner when you're riding it. I hadn't realised it gave you that information until it popped up on the ride. And initially I thought I'd wasted my time by doing this, but I immediately realised that it didn't show you the cumulative time, and it's that is vital. Assuming you have a previous attempt to compare against, understand your cumulative time. For example, I knew that I'd got to corner 21, that's the first corner coming up, the last time round, in 4 minutes 10 seconds. Overall time 4 minutes 10 because it's the first corner. Here's where it gets important. Corner 20, the second corner, last time I did that in 4 minutes 20 seconds, an overall cumulative time of 8 minutes 30 seconds. Knowing your overall cumulative time is vital. It is important to understand your individual corner segment time so you can try and beat it, but that in isolation is not enough. What if you do 3 corners faster than last time and then 2 corners slower than last time? Where are you at overall? You have no idea. In an ideal world, Zwift would show you some sort of overall average, even an average amount of wattage produced on that ride as a whole, but it doesn't give you that. So I produced my own list, and here's where you need to do your own maths dependent upon your needs. I needed to knock off 1 minute, 60 seconds. All I did was take that 60 seconds and broke it down into 6 10-minute chunks. In other words, every 10 minutes I had to knock off 10 seconds, and over the course of the hour I would therefore have knocked off a minute. I then went down my list of corners and I found every corner from last time closest to that 10-minute point and knocked off 10 seconds. For example, last time, corner 18, I got there in 11 minutes, 1 second. Last time, it's a little over 10 minutes, so I'm going to need to knock off, let's say, 11 seconds by then, which means I need to be there this time by 10 minutes 50. Corner 14 last time, I got there in 18 minutes 59 seconds, so a fraction under the 20 minute, the 2 10-minute block. So let's say 19 seconds, I want to be up by then. Means I need to get there this time by 18 minutes 40 seconds. And on I went. Every roughly 10-minute block, I looked to knock off another 10 seconds. The big one was always going to be the halfway point, 30 minutes, by which point I need to be 30 seconds up. We'll look at that when we get there on the ride itself. So here I am approaching corner 21, the first one. 4 minutes 10 seconds last time round. It's actually one of the longer sections on the ride. I had no specific target for the first corner other than I knew I had to be nicely under the 4 minutes 10 from the previous go. Here I am side by side with my last effort and I'm only 1 second around the corner. But I didn't panic. I knew that I'd set up quite quickly the first time round, but it did focus my mind. You can see here the amount of wattage I'm putting down increases. I step it up a gear. I make sure I'm really focusing on hitting those numbers north of 300 watts. Every time I see it dip to a 2 something, I put some power down, made sure I had a brief 4 something to compensate. And here is also where I discovered what effectively is tip 2 for me, stand up now and then. Now some of you will be thinking, obviously you stand up when you're climbing, but to me the last time round, that wasn't how I'd approached it. To me, I'd seen standing up as being almost a panicked reaction. I would do it when I was desperate to find some power, and so I stood up negatively. This time round, a complete opposite. When I do trail runs, 50k ultramarathons and stuff, and it's hilly and there's lots of climbs involved, I will often power walk up the hills, and it makes perfect sense to do that, especially if I'm tired and deep into the run. It uses different muscles to power walk than to run, so you start giving the running muscles a bit of a rest. It's also faster often to power walk up something very steep than it is to jog very slowly. In fact, I'll often power walk past people running at a slow pace. So I took that experience and I put it into the ride here. Every now and then, typically in combination with a particularly steep section coming up, I would stand up, not panicked, controlled, drop a couple of gears, and I would very methodically just plod up the hill. I would do that for maybe 20 or 30 seconds, then sit back down, go to an easier gear, spin the legs up a little bit and sort of flush them out, and then settle back into my steady seated climbing rhythm. And I repeated that all the way to the top. And my legs felt 100 times better and fresher all the way through the ride than they had done the previous time. It felt like I was constantly asking different muscles to become involved. Nothing ever got particularly fatigued. As a result, corner 20, the second corner, last time I got there in 4 minutes 20 seconds, that cumulative time I mentioned earlier of 8 minutes 30, this time 3 minutes 41. Overall time 7 minutes 51. I've already knocked a massive chunk off and I felt no real difference. My heart rate was pretty comparable. At this point, I knew I had it in the bag. And off I went, just targeting every corner each time, also mindful of the overall time that I was taking. I'll put the corners up somehow so that you can see them as I'm going. I basically just let them roll by, each time making sure that I was faster for that individual corner section, but also keeping a real awareness of my overall time, which was actually nicely motivating. To know that I was where I needed to be was inspiring me to crack on and get it done. And so the big one was always going to be halfway. In fact, when I started the ride, I told myself that if at halfway I was way adrift, I'd have to actually question whether to bother continuing. So it was corner 10. Corner 10 last time, 30 minutes, 27 seconds. That's the halfway point. I need to have knocked 30 seconds off at that stage to get my minute saved by the top. So I need to be under 30 minutes. And I roll around the corner here, almost 2 minutes up on that. I felt good. My heart rate, very comparable to last time I went around that corner. Feeling good. And that was important because the last time, the second half of the ride had been tough. What I was wanting to do this time was to spread that effort a bit more evenly throughout the entire duration, but not in such a way that it overloaded me early on and I therefore was even more depleted in the second half. That wasn't what was happening. I was feeling okay the entire time. And while I put up the remaining corners so you can see them as I go through them, my last tip, fuel properly. Personally, I get two benefits from fueling. Clearly, I get whatever it is I'm consuming, the fats, the carbohydrates, the glycogen, the water, whatever it is my body needs. But I also get a massive placebo effect. If I know that I'm doing the right things that I should be doing, I just feel like I can perform better immediately, even before the things I've done could possibly have had any real impact. And I will take that placebo effect all day long. I have done many races where I've sucked on a gel and within 3 or 4 seconds I've picked up my pace and I'm running as though I'm better fueled. So for these rides I'd had a small breakfast, had some oats, a little bit of protein shake mixed in there, a little bit of peanut butter, and I'd had that a good few hours before I rode up here. I also hydrated very well in the time before the ride, and then every single corner or just after the corner I'd push out the corner, then I'd take on some water. I also took on a sports gel at 20 minutes, half of it, and another half of it at 40 minutes. No point did I feel as though I was becoming depleted of energy. And so the last 4 corners, I hit corner 4 1 second slower this time round than last time, but I'm almost 2 minutes 30 seconds up, and that's why, knowing I had it so clearly in the bag at this stage, the motivation to keep pushing hard was actually, well, it wasn't there. I'd cleared the hurdle. How much higher do I need to go? Corner 3, as a result, 4 minutes 15 seconds this time versus 4 minutes 2 seconds last time, slower again. Corner 2, 2:20 versus a 2:12. And going around corner 1, the last corner, 7 seconds slower this time. So the bad news here is that I'm down to a cushion of about 2 minutes versus 2 minutes 30 a few corners earlier. But the good news is I can't see how I'm going to fail. I would need to drop another minute on this last section against last time to actually miss the overall 1 minute saving that I do need. I can't see that's going to happen. My heart rate is lower than last time. I felt good. All I had to do really was just make sure that I keep that wattage above 320 for 99.9% of the ride, and I'm good to go. The only slight concern I had was that last time round I knew that I'd pushed really hard, but I wasn't sure if I had actually pushed really hard and generated high wattage, or it just felt like I'd pushed really hard. Either way, I was reasonably comfortable at this stage. And as soon as the ETA, expected time of arrival, pops up, it just becomes about whether or not I'm going to try and break 59 minutes. I decide not to bother. That's another day's challenge. So here I am approaching the finish line. These 2 clips both started as I finished that final bend. So running side by side, you see that actually I was quicker on the final section last time. The only difference here though is that when I cross the line this time round, I'm in far better physical condition. In fact, I was in good enough shape that I remembered to ride down the hill this time. And there I go. And so that was it. I knew exactly what I had to do this time around, being able to see it. I had my notes pinned up above the TV screen so I could see them. Very motivating to know I was where I needed to be. I mixed up my pedaling style, seated, standing, spinning up, and I fueled properly as well. The only other things I'd mention that were of value, the rocker plate for the Wahoo Kicker bike was brilliant, especially when I stood up. It gives a very natural, comfortable feel to riding the bike when you're stood and putting some power down. I also tried to get that power down on the steeper sections. I'd been told in advance, I couldn't quite work out why. I still can't quite work out why. There's a math reason, I'm sure. If you apply extra power on the steeper sections and that is where your effort goes, it is a more efficient use of that energy than doing extra effort on the flatter sections when applying extra effort doesn't make such a bigger difference. It seemed to work. And Rocky 4. I hope it was useful. I appreciate that I might differ from you in many ways. I might be bigger, I might be smaller. You might have more or less time to try and shave off, but hopefully the basic fundamentals of the things that I try to incorporate will be of some use to you. Ultimately, if they're not, if you try them all and you end up going slower, I can only apologise. Although, to be honest, if you listen to Rocky 4 and you still go slower, that's not my fault. There is clearly something very wrong with you. You should see a doctor. Any questions, any tips, stick them in the comments below. I am out of here. There is turkey leftovers in the fridge and they will not eat themselves.